All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Town Hall Forum, what we're calling College Forum Virtual. So thank you for tuning in. Thanks to Brian Dill for setting everything up. He's kind of got all the speakers here and everything set up. We're in a socially distant room. Julia Townsend is here to do some interpretation for us. We're going to go through a little bit about what we're looking to do over the next couple of weeks in regard to planning for fall 2020. But first I want to thank everybody for all the hard work that's going on around campus. It was amazing how we transitioned from what is the opposite of pandemic readiness, right? Everything we do on a campus is designed to bring people together, put people in tight spaces to interact with each other. And in the span of a week, we were able to completely switch what we do and go in a different direction and try to offer our programs remotely for our students. So we've seen some amazing things happening across campus. Really cool Zoom meetings. We've seen some interaction with students. The formerly incarcerated students club, the Big E Club, are checking in on Zoom on a regular basis with each other, holding each other accountable. We have counseling going on Cranium Cafe. We have, I don't know, there's so many things going on. Our facilities team and our IT team are distributing equipment and making sure the campus is running and looking nice. We're doing it all in a way that tries to protect us and keep everybody safe. That has to be our first goal. Keep our students safe, keep our faculty safe, keep our staff safe. That's what we're all about. We're also about helping our community. We are, Judge Flores, who's a longtime judge in our community and a longtime supporter of Hancock. I talked to him back when the world was still spinning, and he said to me, there's two institutions in this community that are important: the hospital and Allen Hancock College. And this community doesn't get by without those. So we take our responsibility seriously, and what you're doing in the community to support the students, our students are doing food share. We have delivered food to more than 10,000 vehicles. We've delivered food, I think it equates out to something like 40,000 people that have had food in their house because our students and the staff that work in student services and a whole host of volunteers from across campus and the community have been out there delivering food. Our public safety team is out there helping direct the traffic so we can make it work well. It's truly a remarkable thing. One thing that's a visual for our community, and I forgot my clicker, so I got to walk over here and pick it up. But one thing that's been really a visual sign to our community is what happened a few weeks ago when I saw a news clip about some cities that had turned all their lights in their downtown blue. And I wondered if we could do that, and I asked Jim Harvey, and Jim Harvey asked Jeff Allen, and Jeff Allen at PCPA asked Jennifer Zorno at PCPA, and they came up with turning the buildings blue in the evenings. And it's gotten a lot of traction, including this story on KSBY.
Well, the last 2 weeks, Allen Hancock College in Santa Maria has joined people across America in celebrating workers on the front lines of the pandemic. Hancock has been lighting the face of their administration and student services buildings blue to honor those who risked their lives to keep their communities safe. The president of the school, Kevin Walters, saying in a press release, "We want to show them that we appreciate their dedicated service."
So this is really a testament to our facilities team and PCPA working together to make something that's a nice reminder to our community. And really, I would throw into the first responders, those staff members working at the grocery store. A lot of those are our students, people working at Starbucks, people working at Lowe's, to try to keep things moving as normal as possible. Nobody signed up to work at Starbucks to be on the front line of a pandemic. And, really trying to keep those workers safe in our community is really important, and we're doing a nice job. So there's a lot of things we should be talking about right now. We could be talking about all of the great remote things we're doing for commencement and celebrations leading up to commencement. You've probably seen the flyer about retirements and recognition ceremony. That's coming up soon. It will be a virtual recognition. Carmen Camacho in my office is putting together a super fancy PowerPoint presentation that's so powerful she had to get another computer from IT. So she's sitting right here, so she's rolling her eyes, but it's true. And the other The other things we're doing, we're going to have some virtual work with the Transfer Center. We're going to have College Signing Day for our Promise students in June. Lots of really cool things that we're doing to prepare for the season of celebration. Our scholarship program and event, which is one of the great events in the community all year long, we're not going to be able to do it live. Natalie Rakubo at the foundation's done a really nice job of putting donors together with their students, and they're going to set up a virtual, either a phone call or a Zoom meeting with those students, so that the donors can actually talk to the students, and the students can personally thank their donors. That's going to be a really nice event for our community and for the students. For commencement, we've really talked about, what could we do? Could we hold a virtual commencement? We saw a university in Japan that did robot commencement, where the robots brought in each student's picture on an iPad, which was bizarre in the fun way that only Japanese fun can be. It was really a cool thing, but not really something that would go over that well here. So we're going to try to postpone commencement. We met with our students, our student leaders. We had a student forum with more than 40 students. They were unanimous in not wanting a virtual graduation ceremony. So we're going to push it to August. We're hopeful, optimistic that in August we can have something more normal of a commencement ceremony. It may look like what they did at the Air Force Academy, where it's just the students only, but we're committed to helping the students have the kind of memory that they should have on reaching the milestone of finishing here at Hancock. You may have seen the news. It's all over the place. The May revise came out. The budget is a mess in the state of California. We don't know how that's going to impact us yet. We know it will impact us. We don't know how it will impact us. Those are conversations we'll have. We'll probably have a whole bunch more of these forums talking about that in the future. But for today, we really want to talk about what does the fall semester look like. And if you've been working on this the way that, all of us have been working on this, but especially our managers, our cabinet team, our directors, our faculty leaders, our staff leaders have been spending countless hours putting this together. And we've identified it as the 5 stages of grief that we've gone through. So first we were in denial, right? Oh, this will all be over by the end of the spring, and the summer we'll just open as normal. In the fall, everything will be back to normal. Then we went to anger, right? Then we were mad. What's going to happen to our students that don't have access to technology? We already serve as a group of students that are disproportionately impacted for a variety of reasons, and we've just made it even more difficult for them to be successful. Then we started bargaining. Well, maybe we can start off in the fall remote, and we can slowly reopen as we go through the rest of the semester. Maybe in term 2, we could open up again. Then we got a little bit depressed, like, man, if this is the new normal, this isn't what we signed up for. Like we said earlier, this is a social, our mission is a social mission. And it's really hard for me to sit in a room with one person and just have a conversation with one person sitting in the audience. I'm grateful that Carmen's here, but but at the same time, when we think about not having all staff day the way we would normally have it, that's one of the best days of the year. Maybe second only to commencement is that fall all staff day when we all come back together, talk about what we've been doing over the summer. So finally end up in the 5th stage, and that's acceptance. And we've been working our way through that. And I think if you started with the members of cabinet who, have been doing this, like your vice presidents and the public affairs and college advancement team, HR and IT, they've been working this 14-hour days for months, and it's for 2 months now, and it's we kind of got through that stage, probably got to that acceptance stage about a week ago. The deans and the directors are right behind us, and the deans and directors a couple of weeks ago started working with their faculty to ask them, what would your classes look like in the fall if we weren't able to open as normal? And that resulted in a meeting, the Zoom meetings, for goodness sakes, how long are those going to last? We spent a good 10 hours on Zoom, maybe 12 hours over 2 days. First with the deans and the directors, walking through the plan, putting it together in a way that we could build some scenarios and share those with constituency leaders. we shared that yesterday. It was 40 members of campus leadership, students, staff, faculty. We were all there together to really walk through what it looks like. And this was what we came up with. This is the overriding goal. Goal number one, provide the educational excellence we're known for in a way that's safe for our students, for our staff, and for our faculty. That's got to be job one. If we can't offer education safely, then we can't offer it. So from that, we walked through, what the ideas and concerns are going to be about fall 2020. How could we get to the right place in this unprecedented time? And we wanted to build a message to share today. So the message I'm sharing with you today is a message that was actually built by more than 40 people working together. Literally, we built the slide deck as we wrapped up the meeting yesterday. I should caution, this is the 30,000 foot overview, right? So we've got, put this down for just a second. We have lots of questions about PPE and sanitizing rooms and cleaning rooms. And we'll talk a little bit about that in context, but we can't answer every individual question about that because we really want to get the framework in place. Let's get the framework in place first for what we're going to do in the fall, and then we'll be flexible across campus. That's really, we've got to be flexible and transparent because there's no one solution that's going to work in every part of campus, right? So what have we done? A little bit. So we've got hand sanitizers. I got my little bottle here that I carry around. We've got hand sanitizing stations all over campus. We've built protocols for what happens. We had an incident yesterday with somebody from off campus who came on campus and was sick. Fortunately, that person, when they got to the hospital, was tested, didn't have the COVID, but we now have a protocol in place where we sanitize that area in a way that's safe for our facility staff. We ordered 1,000 masks. I'll show you my mask. It's fun. This is your Hancock mask. Next week, facilities will be dropping one of these into every mailbox on campus, and I know not everybody's on campus, but it really wasn't practical for us to drop these in the mail to you either. From time to time, as you come to campus or when you return to campus, you can pick up your mask. I've been doing a lot of research, reading on transmission, and the most compelling things I've seen is that if we'll wear a mask, if everybody in the community will wear a mask, you stop any virus dead in its tracks. And the mask doesn't even have to be 100% effective. It doesn't have to be an N95 surgical mask. Anything you can do to stop the transmission of water droplets is the key to this. That's why there's nobody in this room. Carmen's sitting 25 feet away. Julia's behind me, and I should stop turning around so that I'm talking away from her. And Brian's behind the glass wall up there with a can of Lysol. So, and he's willing to sell it for like $75, I think. So we're doing all we can to really, how do we build that framework of safety? How do we build a framework of safety in all of our areas and find a way for students to be able to access campus? We're going to, at some point we're going to have to go back to that. So what we picked up for fall, is going towards a phased approach. And hopefully you can see on the screen, you should be able to see on the screen that we're in phase one right now, and we're using the California definition of what the stages are. We're at the highest level of restrictions. Only essential personnel are on campus. And we're going to continue that way through the summer. We're hoping then to move into phase two with a limited modified reopening with some reduced restrictions at stage 2 in the California system. On Monday we thought we were going to get there as a state, and by Wednesday the governor changed his mind. That's all good, because I think they're on the same page we are. It's safety first, and they want to make sure that we're getting this done correctly. So then we'll move to modified reopening, which is probably still a ways down the road before we get to full reopening. Even at full reopening, the new normal is going to be quite different. I think the way we behave with each other for several years to come is going to be different. So in regard to safety, one of the first questions people ask about classrooms is, what are you going to do in the classroom setting? Are you going to sanitize the classroom after every, why can't we have the students come in and sanitize the classroom? So I think it still counts as being random that I randomly picked C20 because it randomly was closest to where I parked in the parking lot. And I walked in and I saw this classroom where there are 30 desks in there, 29 of them sitting out in the classroom area. One of them's kind of tucked over behind the computer. I think they're actually using that for a table. But it could be a desk in an emergency situation. But you can see the rows of 2x2 desks, right? So 2 students literally sitting in desks that abut to each other, and then one final row by itself. So let's just take out of the equation even the fact that that door is a normal sized door for ingress and egress. Students coming in and out of that door, we would have to figure out a way, it would be like kindergarten, single file in, and then when the class is over, it's single file out, and then the next class comes in single file. So that's difficult enough as it is. So let's say that would work even, and then we're going to sanitize the class in between classes. So our facilities team has been great. They're ready to go. They're ready to help do some sanitizing. This is the Ghostbusters backpack, as we've now named it, and it's so awesome. It actually uses a product called Terminator. So we have these. We're using them around campus. It throws the mist out, but look at that bottom note. It takes up to 30 minutes to sanitize a full classroom because you have to spray it, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you come in and wipe it off. So how do you do 30 minutes in between each classroom and still offer a full load? Dr. Curry and Ricardo put something together like this, the number of classes that we have on site, and this idea is if we're doing hybrid classrooms, or maybe even only half the students meet. So we only have half the students at any given time, and we'll sanitize in between. So 86 work hours per week just before noon on Mondays and Wednesdays. But here's the problem. 697 work hours for the whole day. We would need 69 staff members to make this happen. Okay? 69 staff members just to make it happen. So doing a deep sanitizing in between each class is just the laws of physics are against us. It's take out even the half-hour equation to make that happen. If we could reconfigure our classes, that didn't seem, when we shared this concept with the group yesterday, everybody agreed that didn't seem feasible. So let's go back to that classroom. What if we set it up so that you can have the class and maybe half the class meets one day and half the class meets on Monday, half the class meets on Wednesday. You take out the desks. So now it's kind of 50%. I know I'm going to get emails from the math department. I know the 17 is not half of 30, but I went in and just started dragging desks out into the courtyard, and I thought I got half of them out, and it turned out to be 17. So let's say you're going to have half your class each time. They got 17 seats. The problem with this is if you go from right to left and you number the rows 1, 2, 3, 4, so row 1 is 6 feet from row 2. Row 2 is 6 feet from row 3. Row 3 is only about 4 feet from row 4. So you've lost your 6 foot sideways. And then, of course, there's desks going forwards and backwards. So this only works if the virus can only move sideways, right? So we think the virus probably is able to move in any direction. So you wouldn't be able to do that. So let's make C20 optimized. Every seat is 6 feet away from every other seat. There's 10 desks left. That's what you get, 10 desks. So you started with a class of 25, 28, maybe 30, and you're going to rotate them A and B days, and you're going to leave 8 to 10 students out. So that rotation pattern, and again, we haven't even talked about the ingress egress. Really not a viable solution for most of our programs. We're going to have some exceptions to that, especially in lab sciences and in the CTE programs. But for a typical lecture class, that's really not going to work. So here's what we came up with for our meeting results. We have a consensus that we will move to ERT with flexibility for certain courses. We're going to keep the modality in place for the whole term. And there's a couple of reasons to that. We heard from students that it's disruptive to change modalities midterm. Students want to know how their classes are going to be offered. We're going to keep the classes synchronous, as we did this semester. The students expressed a really strong preference for meeting face-to-face. We should start with that. The students were very clear. Face-to-face is what they want. However, absent the ability to do face-to-face, which they came to accept at the end, having that real-time scheduled class was very important. So we want to keep that modality going. It also provides faculty with the planning certainty, because I know you deliver your classes differently in a remote setting than you do in a live classroom. So that'll provide some certainty there for the faculty, that when they plan for the fall, they can actually set their class up to take advantage of the technology they have. This is going to apply for credit, non-credit, and fee-based. The College for Kids program, we're going to be looking at if there are ways to offer some of those programs remotely. Those are very popular in our community, as you know, and the teachers who teach those are very anxious to get back into the teaching with the children. So we said it's going to be with flexibility for certain courses. What constitutes a certain course? We know that our health sciences programs, our public safety programs, those are already continuing in a face-to-face modality with protocols in place to promote safety. It could also include our new truck driving program. And this one, it seems like a one-off, but it's so important. I saw one of the proprietary schools with a truck driving program running around town the other day, and they had a driver and a student. They were both wearing masks. And my first thought was really not about the safety. My first thought was, how much is that student paying to get a truck driving license that they could get from Hancock for free, for no cost? So Mike Cunningham has been teaching that class. We can use the Public Safety Training Center. We actually don't have to have two people in the truck at the same time. It's going to be kind of cool. Because we have that closed off road. Health sciences, performing arts, some of the performing arts, we can make those classes work in a way that's face to face. I actually talked to some of you. Most of you will remember Larissa Nazrenko, who was a dean here. She's now a dean down in the Coast District. She texted me this morning about something, and it turns out they're running the ceramics class, and as the dean, it's her job to give the students clay. The students come in to pick up clay, and she has a drop-off pickup time. So she's actually facilitating all of that for the faculty member as part of their safe distancing. So it's kind of an interesting way to look at it. So we can get all of our classes working remote. Probably 90% of our classes will be remote. We'll have about 10% that we'll be offering actually online, or actually face-to-face. Some of the challenges that we identified yesterday. Student access to technology and student access to study space. There's an article today in Inside Higher Ed about Wi-Fi in the parking lot and how important the Wi-Fi in the parking lot is becoming across college campuses. We've set that up. Our IT department has done a great job of setting it up so that students can come, sit in the parking lot, and work on their computers. We're lucky to live in an environment that really allows for outdoor activities. So we can have students sitting in their car participating. But at some point, we're going to have to worry about, how do we help those students that can't access the technology? We're working on a big plan with the city. Probably 60-40 it's going to happen, with 60 actually it happening. But the other side of what we're doing is, we've got to look at childcare. Our childcare center is open. Our faculty and staff and the director there are doing amazing work for our community. We're working with the county to help essential workers have a place for childcare for their kids. Many of our students use the childcare center, and we're going to need them to be part of. We're going to need them to have a place to drop their children in a safe environment where the children can learn during the day while the parents are also learning. We need to manage our services. I mentioned the Big E Club earlier. They're getting by on Zoom, but they're a group of people that really need a tactile interaction from time to time. We need to figure out how can we have safe spaces for our formerly incarcerated students, for our veterans, for our students with disabilities, for our EOPS students, CARE and CalWORK students. How can we set up an environment where they can, when absolutely necessary, access services on campus? That's not something we could have decided yesterday, or it's not something we can decide today. But by building this framework, it's something that over the next couple of months we can start working towards. And it's going to be different for every single service area on campus. We're going to have a different answer for veterans and a different answer for EOPS and a different answer for how we operate the winery. All of those are going to be done on individual plans, working with directors, the deans, and the vice presidents. One of the other challenges is the social disconnect. One of the things that I always brag about for our college, I'm a community college student. I went to Eastfield College. I got out of my car. I walked into class. I took my class, took 2 classes, 3 classes, whatever it was that day. I got in my car and I took off. Right? It was a place to go and take a class. It was not a community. When you walk around our campus in the mornings and the afternoons and even into the early evening, there are students everywhere. It's a social environment for those students. They're here going to college. They're not taking classes. They're going to college. We have to find ways to keep that kind of interaction alive for our students in a way, and it's going to be remote. They're not going to be allowed to come and have big gatherings on campus. But we've really got to think about how do we keep that social interaction outside of class in a way that's meaningful for the students and is somehow more than just a Zoom meeting. We're going to have to we've been really good with our communication with students, and we're in a crisis mode and it's exciting, it's a new thing. We can use Cranium Cafe and the students can virtually knock on our door and we can chat with them and we can video with them, we can call them on the phone. And it's kind of like that new, when you get your kid a remote control car, and they're out there for every day for a month racing their remote control car, and then it kind of becomes old hat. And we've got to really maintain a sense of urgency around real communication with our students, making sure that we're communicating with them more than just email, that we're having real-time conversations with our students. Real-time conversations with each other, and not necessarily always on Zoom. Maybe pick up a phone. Figure out some other way to have real-time conversations with faculty, staff, and students, but particularly with our students. It's so critical for our faculty to reach out to their students individually. That's going to be important as we go in the fall, because this is going to start to seem like old hat, and we can't fall into just a regular, we just do this. We got to maintain that sense of urgency. And I know that our constituency leaders will help us do that. What are our opportunities? And that Cranium Cafe thing kind of took off, right? I've even got one. People like the Cranium Cafe module. We're going to get some new distance tools into our toolbox, right? We're going to learn how to do some new things. We've learned how to use Zoom. We've learned how to use Microsoft Teams. We've learned how to do electronic signatures on files and run them through electronically so that we don't have to have a big paper trail, and turnaround on signing things is hours instead of days. That's all great stuff that we've done. We're going to have demand from other students, right? We're seeing this. We're seeing stories. The Community College Record today had a story about Connecticut State Community College System is seeing increases on their campuses from 5 to 20% in demand. I think we're going to have a lot of local students that want to, if they're going to go, they were accepted to some school far away from home. They're not going to pay university tuition or out-of-state tuition to sit in their bedroom in Santa Maria or Lompoc or Santa Ynez and take remote classes. They're going to come to us, take those classes for a much more affordable price, take them from real faculty members who are experts in their field, not graduate students who are learning it, and they're going to get a better experience than they would get at their home campus. So we're going to see an increase of that. One of the downsides of that is, as we see an increase of that combined with budget pressures, we want to make sure that we don't have a repeat of what happened during the Great Recession, where university level students came into the community colleges and they pushed out the marginal students that need us so desperately. We really have to be mindful that the students who need us the most, that we're there for those students as well, and that we continue to provide them with opportunities. We're going to build some online help desk and chat functions. Yesterday we heard about one college that has, when you go log on, it's sort of like when you go onto a hotel website or something, and a little chat box pops up, and how can I help you? And there's a live person behind that wanting to help you navigate to wherever you want to get to. We can do that with student workers. We're building some of those tools, and we can make that happen. So our next steps, we want to take this to College Council in May 18th, and Academic Senate on the 19th, and report it to the Board of Trustees on June 9th. Now, I shared the results of the meeting yesterday with the Board of Trustees already. I sent that to them last night. So we're fortunate to have a Board of Trustees that trust us to do our work. They trust all of us to do our work, and they've been very supportive of all levels of the college. So what are we going to do in the summer? In the summer, we'll start working with the managers. We'll develop specific plans. We're going to develop plans for academic areas and service areas. We're going to put in communication standards. That kind of goes back to that Cranium Cafe. We're going to talk about space utilization. How much space do you need? If we have a large classroom and we're not meeting in it, can we move could we move a lab class into that space for the fall? We can find some of that out. We're going to provide some professional development so that people can feel more comfortable using the technology tools they need. And I can tell you, probably the question everybody is going through is, what about the windows like at A&R? What about the windows at financial aid? What about the desks? So our facilities team's going to be busy. They're going to be really busy this summer. We're installing glass partitions where students would interact at A&R and financial aid. We're going to set up protocols within the student services building as to how many students can be in there, similar to what you would see at the grocery store. Students can come in, a limited number of students, social distancing, and only those students that they absolutely cannot get services by talking to someone on the phone or through Cranium Cafe. We're going to provide plexiglass dividers for every reception desk. So if you think about an office that you walk into, and whether it's an academic administrative assistant or someone in my office, there will actually be a little plexiglass shield there that our facilities team is going to make, and they'll be able to provide a little bit of gap in there. But mostly everybody's going to still be working remotely. We're going to have in the fall, our staff work plan this fall will look very similar to what it looks like now. We're going to have most of us working from home, most of us forwarding our desk phones to our cell phones or our home phone, most of us logging in remotely and maybe coming to campus once or twice a month to pick up mail or whatever. It's going to look very much like what you see today. That's kind of the 30,000 foot version of what we're going to be doing. The questions we received earlier, and we're not going to answer them specifically, but it was really about what do we do for PPE, what do we do for hand sanitizer and gloves and all those kind of things. Those are the conversations we'll start having in the summer, because they really need to be tailored to the specific area. For now, what we should start planning and what we'll start sharing with the community is we're going to be primarily remote in the fall. We will have limited career technical education and lab sciences courses that will be taught in a face-to-face manner that's safe, and we'll come up with protocols for those. Excuse me. We're going to follow the guidance of the state, the Chancellor's Office, the California Department of Health, and the Santa Barbara County Department of Health. Every decision we make is going to be, how do we provide the service in the safest manner possible? And it really seems like in 9 out of 10 instances, the safest manner possible is going to be remote. So for those 1 out of 10 instances where it needs to be in person, how are we going to set up that service to be offered in person in a safe environment, much like we do at our grocery stores or take out from the restaurants? We're going to have to walk through how that works. And like I said, I can't say this enough. Every area is going to be a little bit different. So what I encourage you to do is start thinking about how, for your work area, for the scope of your work, what does it look like in the fall to be working remotely? What kind of tools do you need? What kind of equipment do you need? What do your students need to be successful? I can't promise that we can fill all of those orders, but we're going to do our very best to provide the kind of tools that will allow our students to be successful, that will allow our faculty to engage with our students in the best way possible, and that will allow our staff to do their jobs in a way that keeps them safe as well. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this community. This is truly the best college in the state, and it's because of the people who work here, and it's because of the mission that we've recognized as being so critical to our community. So thank you for being here. Again, Julia, thank you. Brian, thanks for setting this all up, and Carmen, thanks for doing all the organization. We'll see you all at College Council. Well, I guess we can see you at the board meeting on Tuesday night. So we'll see you at the board meeting on Tuesday night if you'd like to join. Like the rest of our lives, it'll be on Zoom. So anyway, thanks. Have a great weekend.